This is the 20 Minutes of Influence podcast with your host, Greg Jameson. Influencer marketing is the process of identifying, researching, engaging, and supporting the people who create high-impact conversations with your customers. On each episode, I talk with industry leaders, business rock stars, and internet celebrities who contribute their knowledge about influencing others and growing your influence. Welcome to the 20 Minutes of Influence podcast. I'm Greg Jameson, and you might be watching this podcast today as well as listening to it. And if you are, you notice that I've got a special guest with me today. That's Joel Comm.
What's happening?
Joel and I have actually kind of had parallel paths through much of our career, but I was off doing business type things, writing computer-aided design software. He was off playing games during that time.
Pretty much. But
we both ended up selling our original business interests for like 7 figures and have since gone on and done a number of other things. And it's, even though we kind of led this parallel life, I guess we've only known each other for about 10 years or so.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I've got this friend that years ago I was in graduate school with him, and he was actually working on an Indian reservation at the time, and he decided that he was going to pick up and move his family to South Africa. And he did that and was doing all these crazy adventures throughout the whole continent of Africa. And I sent him a Christmas card one time, and he wrote me back and was like, wow, you really know how to live life to its fullest. And coming from this guy that had been living in Africa for several years, I was like, that's a pretty big compliment. But that's really what Joel is all about, which is why I wanted to have him on the show today, is living life to its fullest. One of the things that he did is he wrote this book recently. If I can get the thing to focus here.
There it is, the Fun Formula.
The Fun Formula, which is all about really living life to its fullest. So that's some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today, and we'll talk about whatever because that's just the way the two of us roll.
We could talk about all kinds of things. There's so many things to talk about.
There really is. But welcome, Joel. Glad you're here on the show.
Thanks, Greg.
You want to say anything else about yourself before we just start chatting?
Nah, we'll see where it goes.
Okay.
That was a great intro.
I actually listened to your podcast that you did with Ray Edwards a week or so ago.
Oh, what did you think of that? That was, we're talking about doing some more stuff together because there's an interesting chemistry there.
Yeah, it was fun to listen to. And I was like, well, they already talked about a whole bunch of the things that I kind of want to talk about. But
yeah, but it's a different show. We can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, so it's a different show, a slightly different audience. And the fact is that even if we repeat some stuff, that's okay too.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I found really interesting is that it was been a few years ago now that I was doing this trade show in Dallas, and this guy that I was talking to, I told him I had this book and so forth, and that I lived in Denver, and he was like, oh, you live in Denver. Do you happen to know this guy named Joel Comm? And I was like, yeah, as a matter of fact.
Heard of him.
I just was over at his house the other day, and we recorded this video about Amazon drones delivering my book to him.
That was fun.
It was fun. And so I showed him the video, and now all of a sudden he thought, okay, I'm going to listen to this guy because at least he knows Joel and he'd been following you, I guess. So it was really kind of an aha moment for me in some ways of, hey, this is really what influencer marketing is all about, is people like to listen to what other people have to say more than what they like to listen to you yourself.
Yeah, that's often the truth.
So in your book, The Fun Formula, one of the things that you talk about is how you like to connect people without telling them why. Just like go on Facebook and say, hey,
yeah,
you guys should know each other. I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool.
Well, so it's actually one of my favorite things to do is connecting people, because it's when you look at, all right, what is the difficulty of doing this? Well, it's incredibly easy. What's the potential impact? Massive, huge. So the effort to outcome ratio is the most exponential of all the things I can do. And when I see two people that I'm like, these two need to know each other, because if they do, then something really significant could happen. That makes me happy. And so I'll just connect people blind, and and if people trust me, and of course the people that I'm connecting do because they know me, and I say, you and you need to just have a conversation, schedule a call, talk amongst yourselves, trust me. And then they do. And now it's up to them. My work here is done. And I feel like I've, contributed in such a way that the impact could be significant.
And I think that's the thing that's so cool, is doing the connection blind, though, and letting them figure out for themselves why it is that you introduced them.
Right. Yeah, like, what are we doing here? I just dropped you on a deserted island with this person, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, that was one of my takeaways from reading your book. I was like, I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's fun. That is part of the formula, and the mystery and the magic. People overthink things, they over strategize, and sometimes it's just as simple as taking a small risk and saying, well, if this guy thinks I should talk to that guy, what's the harm in scheduling a discovery call? We might end up becoming besties. We might be business partners. Maybe nothing will happen. Maybe nothing will happen immediately, but 10 years down the road. So, I once met a guy who I think could help you with that. And then you just never know. Business is all about relationships.
And not only is it about relationships, I think one of the points that you really make in the book is that it's about having fun with those relationships.
Yeah,
And
please.
yeah, but there's so many people that aren't having fun, whether they're in a job or even in their own business. It's like, seriously, why are you in business? They're not having
Yeah,
fun.
well, I just look at this that way. Sucks to be you. If you're not having fun doing what you're doing, then you got to wonder, what are you doing? What's the point?
Absolutely. So one of the things that you are known for amongst the people that know you for sure, and I think that it really stands out with you writing this book, is to have fun. So I know that you talk about how you don't actually have a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan, that those things don't work anyway.
I don't know that I have a 1-year plan. I am that flexible that I will pivot so quickly to try something new. In fact, we're pivoting. I do the Bad Crypto podcast with Travis Wright, and we're starting another show. It's actually been submitted to iTunes. We're still doing Bad Crypto, but we're starting another show because we see an opportunity and something that we want to, play with. And we didn't know just a month ago that we were going to do this, but we're doing it.
And that obviously works for someone like you or myself, but what about a company, somebody that's got 500 employees? How do they really make that transition to say, you know what, we can't have even a 1-year plan. We have to be able to just go with whatever the next fun thing is.
Well, I think clearly when you've got that many people involved, it's definitely more challenging. It has to start at the top, though, right? The executives at a company like that have to be on board with trying some new things. Really difficult to pivot a company with 500 people right away, but you can try things in small amounts and take some small risks and see how it works out.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I know I actually was trying to do when I had my computer-aided design company, is that we got involved very early in virtual reality.
Right.
That
Which I love. I love VR. I had an Oculus Rift when they first came out, and now I've got the Oculus Quest.
Yeah, and this was obviously before any of the kind of consumer level stuff. We were like doing things, drawing up designs and trying to have people walk through a golf course or whatever. But it was something that you kind of really have to say, hey, I just want to go do something that's fun, not because
Right.
this is going to make us any money. It was too expensive to make us any money. But
But you never know what's going to make you money. That's the thing. There's so many things that I tried that I never imagined they would make me money, or especially the amount of money that I ended up making. I think it's about following those passions and taking risks and doing what you enjoy, and then being surprised if serendipity arrives. And I found more often than not, it does.
yeah, I agree with you. So we've actually got one of your new toys right behind you. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, this is the Robo Temi. I go to the Consumer Electronics Show every year, almost every year. And this last January I went, and there was a lot of robots, personal robots, right? Some of them are toys, some of them are intended to provide more functionality. And I saw this one and I thought, oh, this is going to be several $1,000s. This thing will follow me around. I tap a button on it and it will lock onto me and follow me. I can tap on it to go to the bedroom, or you saw before we started, it came in the room on its own because I told it to go to the office, and it's mapped out my entire place. But it's got an Android tablet on it that's specially coded, and it's an Amazon Echo on wheels, right? So I can treat this, I could say, Alexa, play the Bad Crypto podcast. Then we wait.
Here's the Bad Crypto podcast from TuneIn. Resuming is Hashgraph better than blockchain?
Terra intends to make distributed Alexa, stop. But I can also make calls. If you had the Temi app, I can do video calls with you on this. And I can play YouTube videos on it, and I can charge my phone on the panel on the back. And it is, I think, the first in a legitimate personal robot that is affordable. And I say affordable, they're $2,000. But I won this one at CES. You know how people say, put your card in the bowl and we're going to draw a winner. I actually finally won something.
That's pretty cool.
And I want to tell you something really remarkable, because I want to give shout outs to their team. They're based in New York, and the first one that arrived, it actually had a problem with it. And their marketing person flew from New York yesterday with a replacement robot and spent, 90 minutes with me showing me features and stuff at no charge. I mean, that is customer support.
Wow, that's amazing.
Pretty amazing, yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the Amazon Prime show Humans?
I haven't. Should I go watch it?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's all about basically synthetic humans and the evolution of robots till we create synthetic humans, and you would enjoy it.
I'm sure I would. Here we go, right?
So let's take a quick break here. And on the other side of the break, one of the things I want to talk to you about, Joel, is you recently saw Edward Snowden at a teleconference. So
Notorious.
yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Snowden and a little bit more about internet marketing. So we'll come right back after this. Hi, I'm Greg Jameson, the host of the 20 Minutes of Influence podcast. Every week, I not only have the opportunity, but the real privilege of interviewing experts in their field, true thought leaders, and I get to share this information with you. The purpose of this is really to help you sell more of your products and services online, which is the core premise of my primary business, Web Stores Limited. At Web Stores, we go out and we create e-commerce websites for small businesses. Plus, we do internet marketing and digital advertising for those businesses to really help them sell more online. We have a whole number of resources and tools designed to help make this process easier for businesses, probably much like yours. I've been the author of several #1 best-selling books, including Amazon's Dirty Little Secrets and The Influencer Effect, plus a whole series of online courses if you want to learn how to do this stuff yourself. The best way to remain in contact with me, besides subscribing to this podcast, of course, is to simply go to gregjameson.com/free gift, where I have a special offer for you simply because you are a valued listener to this podcast. Thanks again, and now let's get back to today's episode. Welcome back to the 20 Minutes of Influence podcast. I'm Greg Jameson, and with me today is Joel Comm. And right before the break, Joel and I were talking about how he had gone and seen, it was a Bitcoin conference, I guess, but you were actually had the ability to see Edward Snowden coming to you over a teleconference. And I know Edward is a hero of mine, and I assume he is of yours too.
Yeah. Willing to stand up against a government that is too secretive. And, it's supposed to be for us, for the people. And, we don't know where he was. It was, an undisclosed location. If he showed up in the US, he would be arrested on site. But the cheers in that room for what he said about liberty and freedom really resounded with the audience.
Yeah, amazing person. If anyone has not seen the movie that came out about him a year or two ago, just called Snowden, absolutely have to watch it. The guy is truly an amazing individual and somebody that's willing to stand up for privacy in today's age, which is incredible.
Yeah, we've given away more and more of it, and people just don't know. They just don't realize, that it's really interesting. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I find myself getting more and more libertarian the older I get. That we're indoctrinated into this idea that government is supposed to solve our problems and that our politicians are supposed to make our life better. Our founding fathers, when they wrote that Constitution, in the preamble, it said that we are granted 3 inalienable rights from our Creator: the right to life, the right to our liberty, and the right to pursue happiness. Not the right to be happy. Nowhere in there was a right to education or a right to health care. It says you are a self-sovereign individual born into this world. Nobody owes you anything, but God the Creator guarantees, because you are living, you have the right to life and you have the right to your personal liberty. Everything else you do, as long as you're not hurting others, that's within your realm to do. And Snowden's just a huge proponent of personal liberty. And, we're born into this world, and all of a sudden we have all these rules placed on us by people who aren't us. And it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So was there any one thing that kind of came out of his speech that you were like, life-changing?
It was a Bitcoin conference, and he's a huge proponent of Bitcoin because it is the people's money. It is moving away from government fiat currency, which is just way inflated and which is on a track for collapse. All you have to do is look at what happened in Venezuela. In fact, somebody there at the event handed me one of these. It is a 2,000 bolivars, which basically they're using for confetti now. The bolivar is virtually worthless because socialism and dictatorship in that country has created hyperinflation where their money is worthless, and people, they don't have food, they don't have water, they don't have jobs. It's horrible. And people think that can't happen in the United States. Well, they didn't think it could happen in Venezuela. It was South America's richest country because they were rich in oil. But this is what happens when you put the wrong people in power that want to lord it over others and tell you how you should live your life.
Yeah, I actually have I don't have it with me now, but I had somebody mail me some currency from one of the African countries.
Zimbabwe. Yeah, you can get $1 trillion bill from Zimbabwe for next to nothing because it's worthless because of inflation. But Snowden talked about the power of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and there's only 21 million Bitcoin ever. And that's why it's deflationary and the value of it goes up over time. It's supply and demand.
Yeah, it will be interesting, I think, clearly still within our lifetime of how Bitcoin is going to impact e-commerce.
Yeah.
People actually using it to buy and exchange goods.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, not just our lifetime. In the next few years, everything is going to change because of cryptocurrency. I mean, when you look at how quickly the world changed because of the smartphone, right? I bought my first iPhone when they first came out in 2007. And within 10 years, the world had changed completely. Everybody was using mobile, and it changed how we interacted and engaged. Well, Bitcoin and crypto are here, and in the next few years, it's going to change how we transact, how we do contracts, how we track data. It's going to impact virtually every vertical known to mankind. And people don't see it coming that quickly, but they never saw the smartphone coming that quickly either.
Yeah, and it will definitely be interesting, especially, with the arena that I play in of e-commerce, about how that's, like I said, going to impact these merchants. And it's like all of a sudden they have to take Bitcoin and they have to
Right.
basically re-gear everything they've done. So let's talk a little bit there about internet marketing. Over the years, you've been involved in like most business models on the internet, whether it be affiliate marketing, digital products, AdWords, selling physical products like this shirt. You've kind of done all of those things. What do you really see as kind of the number one thing that people should be paying attention to in terms of trying to sell their products and services online?
Well, I think it's important to have your own website, no matter what. The social media sites, if you build on their platform, you can use them, but you don't own that. And they can shut you off at any moment for whatever reason they want. And if you don't have a home base to call your own, then you're setting yourself up for a sudden disaster.
Yeah, and I think you saying that about social media sites, I was reading this survey the other day about how so many vendors are relying on Amazon to sell their products. And it's kind of the same thing, it's like Amazon's great. It gets you lots of traction out there because their customer base is so big, but they could shut you off.
Yeah, easily.
And
Not
if
good.
and if they don't shut you off, they may just compete with you too on their own platform.
Yep, true. So don't build on rented land.
Yeah, good advice. What else do you want to chat about here? Tell us, with your futuristic mind, what things people should be looking at.
Well, I mean, I think AR and VR are going to go mainstream shortly. I think the Oculus Quest is a great consumer grade VR product, and there's some cool applications that are coming out. I initially thought that holidays, Christmas 2019 would be the year. It might be Christmas 2020 before it really goes mainstream, but it's going to depend upon the application. It's going to depend upon the experience. Experiences sell hardware. So just like a Nintendo can put out a new game system, but if they didn't have the new Mario game to support it, then people wouldn't be buying the system. It's the game experience that makes people want to buy the hardware. So we need an experience in virtual reality that is then going to drive people to drop $400 or $500 on one of these devices. And that's coming either this holiday season or next, and everybody's going to be talking about it once it happens, and it's going to be hard to get a unit, and it's going to be an exciting time. I think that that is coming soon.
Yeah, and that's actually interesting because, as you said, games kind of drive that. You know, if we have this great game with an experience for VR, then people are going to go out and buy the thing, like you said.
Right.
But how long do you think it is going to take to go from, hey, this is a really fun thing to play with games, to where this is a part of business and I need to have
Right.
VR
Right.
for my business?
Great question. And so I look at it, depends upon the vertical. When we're talking, for example, real estate, if you could show me a house without me having to leave my living room, right? I don't have to drive around all day with you and go to all these houses, but you go, and then when you're there, you take me on a tour and I'm wearing my VR headset and I can see everything in the place. That's practical. If you're telling me, hey, the sold out, concert at the Pepsi Center, I can sit way up in the boonies, in the high seats, nosebleed for a certain amount, or you can put me front and center and all I got to do is sit on my sofa, put it on with my stereo headsets, and I'm enjoying my favorite band as though they're right there live in front of me while they are playing live. That's a practical experience for business. Shopping at a store. Right? I want to see, what clothing you have in stock, but I can't go to, another state because that store is in another state. And through VR, I can shop online and I can experience and buy things that I see through an app. That is a practical experience. And there's going to be many more just like that. Travel. You want to see the world, you can't afford to, but you're willing to pay for an experience to go on a tour of wherever, say Israel, and the guide is taking you around Israel and you're sitting there and you're talking to them and they're telling you things, and it's a private tour, but you don't have to get on a plane to go. Now, obviously, if you can get on a plane and go, but there's a huge market for the number of people that can't afford to or can't take the time, or perhaps are homebound, right? And they can't travel for whatever reason. There's going to be huge marketplaces out there for these. Are just some of the verticals.
Yeah, there's no question that's all going to happen. I'm just curious as to how long you think it's going to take to go. The things that tend to drive things first are games and set.
Yeah. I think entertainment's going to drive it first. I think that's going to happen either this Christmas season, 2019, or 2020. We're going to see a must-have application that's going to have the same type of buzz that like a Pokemon Go did, where all of a sudden everybody wants to play it. And it's going to drive the hardware sales, and people are going to come en masse. That's always how it happens. And then you're going to see that people are also going to be like, oh, I can also do this. I can shop and I can go travel and I can, look at homes or apartments. I can, let's say you want to, talk to a family member. Well, you and I are talking via webcam right now, but what if you could do it in VR where it's like that person is, it feels like they're really there in front of you. It's going to help people connect more.
And then I can go buy my next house with Bitcoin.
Yeah. Then you can buy your next house with Bitcoin, and you just might.
It's entirely possible. Yeah. So this has been great today, Joel. I appreciate your time.
Of course.
Is there any kind of parting words that you want to leave people with, and or websites that you want to drive people to, get them to buy your book?
Well, I don't have the book here. You have it, though. Go to funformulabook.com. Pick up a copy. I think it will inspire you, not just my stories, but the stories of those within the book, like Lou Mangello and John Lee Dumas and Rachel Martin, and many others. And if you want to know what this cryptocurrency thing is all about, go listen to the Bad Crypto Podcast, badcryptopodcast.com.
Perfect. I'll put some links in the show notes as well. So it's been awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of 20 Minutes of Influence. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please leave a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you are interested in booking myself as a speaker at one of your events, or are interested in any of my coaching programs, please visit gregjameson.com.